happy homeschoolers. Oh my goodness, I'm so happy to see you. And I love spending time with you. And I'm glad we get to be together like this. How are you doing? Okay. Well, one of the most important things I'm going to teach you right now is to take your temperature. No, don't grab a thermometer. I don't mean your forehead or your ear. I mean your temperature internally. It's very important for us as homeschoolers that we know how we're feeling, that we know where we are today. And we also know where our children are. What are we doing? How are we doing today? If you get up and there's been a family loss or a tragedy or grief or something, heaven forbid, um, that might not be the day to start new curriculum. But we've got to take our temperature. We've got to know what it is that we're doing, and we've got to know how we're feeling about it. There's sometimes when you just wake up and you're like, "This is wonderful. I can't wait to get started. I'm ready to learn." As my children say, "I'm ready to learn." And there are other days when something is happening. Maybe it's a news headline, breaking news. Maybe it's an event, right? A natural event, a disaster or a good thing. I don't know. Sometimes even good things bring a lot of change to homeschool. New babies, new pets, new house, you move to a new home, the holidays, they can change things too. So it's important for us as happy homeschoolers to take our temperature. And sometimes you can't just be so focused on the curriculum or focused on your own agenda that you just push forward no matter what. You've got to think to yourself, okay, I want my child to love learning. I want them to love me and to love life. I love them. Let's take our temperature. Yeah. That's a skill that they don't teach you in the curriculum. The curriculum says this is what we're doing on Tuesday and this is what we're doing on Wednesday. But I think if you learn to take an internal temperature, you will help your own homeschool to be a happy homeschool. Think about if you go to the doctor. If you go to the doctor with anything, I mean, you can go to the doctor and you're like, well, I have a broken leg. And they're like, well, let's take your temperature. You're like, oh, okay. Right? Why? Because that tells them something about you. I mean, it tells them if you have a fever. It tells them if perhaps you have an infection. It tells them we don't want anything of these things to ever happen to you, but it tells them a lot. It can even tell them that everything's just fine. Like I took your temperature, you don't have a fever. Okay. So, if you take an internal temperature as part of your homeschool, what happens right away is you realize where everybody is. Where's everybody, including you? Right? I mean, if this is a day that you should try something new and potentially challenging. If this is a day where maybe we should have a review because everybody's kind of sluggish, I always talk to people about this right after the holidays. We homeschool year round because we love it and we want to do it. But you don't have to. And if you don't, that's okay. But let's say the morning after the Thanksgiving holiday. Is everybody just gung ho to learn? Are they just like, yay, let's learn? Or are they like, kind of sluggish and they've had a few days off? And well, maybe that's a good day for a review, right? Just go back to whatever you were doing before the holiday started and do a little review and kind of warm up and get everybody's mind ready. Maybe it's a day when you have more movement breaks or a day that you have some FaceTime or some socialization in a different way. Maybe it's a day that we go outside and do some nature study, right? I'm trying to uh, protect you with this piece of advice. Take your temperature. Take your temperature. Yes, your children, we do check on because we're always going to check on them. They come first. We're always going to be concerned about them. But we have to take our own temperature too. We have to know if we're up to teaching this new thing today. We have to know if we're distracted because a family member's not doing well, or we're distracted because a friend just lost their job and we're concerned about them, then that's going to come out. Take your temperature. Take your temperature. Yeah. I can't handle this today. We're going to have a review. Or maybe we'll do this in small pieces and we'll try to, I don't know, we'll do something a little bit different, that day. Take your temperature and then be honest about what you find. Yeah. If you're just frustrated and angry and filled with bitterness and resentment, then you need to work on you that day, right? You don't want that seeping into your children through impatience and unkindness. And sometimes I think as homeschoolers, we are overachievers naturally, most of us anyway. And so it's very hard for us to admit that we need a break or that we're tired or that we feel we're not doing well today. We just push on ahead, press on, right? But if we take our temperature and are honest about what we find, we'll know today is a great day to start a new class in something. Today is a great day to do something wonderful. Today is a great day for us to try something new. And then sometimes I'm just going to tell you, you're going to find out it's not a great day, or I don't want to today, or I can't today. I just don't have the ability today. I mean, this is really hard for some folks to do, and it's hard for me to do sometimes to admit that I have limitations. Yeah. But here's the thing, if you don't limit you, life will limit you. So before you have a day that is terrible, why don't you just take your temperature? Just take your temperature. Just say, you know what? I, good morning to me. How am I doing today? How do I feel today? What am I doing today inside? Right? Am I distracted? Am I focused? Am I energetic or am I exhausted? Am I worried or am I wonderful? Am I on a continuum? See, some things aren't just polar opposites. Sometimes it's like, well, I feel pretty okay right now, but this situation means I might not feel that great this afternoon. So we better do our learning right now. We do all our homeschooling first thing when we wake up. We don't even do a whole lot of formalities or anything. It's like breakfast, homeschooling, and we do it because that's when everyone is ready to learn and fresh and all of that. I tried doing it in the afternoon because I'm not a morning person, and oh boy. So, afternoon is time for the PALS classes and the virtual socialization and co-op classes and things like that. But we do our basic learning, our real actual subject learning in the morning. I'm not saying you should do that, but I'm saying I took my temperature, but I also had to take my children's temperature. And that's the next part of this. You know, I take my temperature and I think I'm not a morning person. I think I should teach this in the afternoon. And I take their temperature and they're like ready to learn in the morning. And by the afternoon, it's like, what? Bleak, you know? And so I had to then decide what will I do with this temperature? And that's the next thing I want you to think about. When you take your temperature and you're honest about it, you take the temperature spiritually, emotionally, socially, physically. I don't mean a thermometer. I mean, just as you kind of do an inventory, right? Uh, in our culture, we call that the four sacred bodies, right? Your mind, your emotions, your physical body, your mental health. How are they all working together? And when they're working together in a good way, we call that a good mind. And so a good mind, and that's not a judgment on anything, it's not any ableism at all. It's just letting us know that are you in balance? Are you balanced today? Right? I know that there's certain days that I'm going to be a little out of balance physically, right? And so that's not a day I should expect a whole lot of patience, you know, right? From myself. I might be a little, not as up to my usual standards. And so we're not talking about judging yourself or criticizing yourself or anybody else. We're talking about knowing yourself. And so today, everybody is bouncing off the walls because it's the day before a holiday or something like that. Well, that's a good day for movement breaks. It's a good day to go outside. Today, everyone's a little bit distracted because something has happened and we're a little bit worried about it and all. Maybe it's a good day to adapt our lessons for that. And when you find something as you take your temperature, it's okay to incorporate it into your homeschool as well. And I really want to say that. I mean, if you find, like, Hurricane Helene happened to Western North Carolina, and we had to study hurricanes. We had to, science curriculum and all that, but we added hurricanes to the study to understand what was happening and what was going on. And it gave us some peace because otherwise everybody was worried and distracted and, where is so and so? We haven't heard from such and such and we're, concerned. But when we studied it and brought it out into the light, it was on everybody's mind anyway. So we took our temperature and adjusted accordingly. I think that simple act every day of just checking in with yourself even a couple times a day. Where are we? Where are the homeschoolers? How are they doing? Right? If everybody's laying down, then maybe it's time for a nap or rest period, right? If everybody's energetic and bouncing around, then maybe it's time for some physical education or a walk outside or some actual field trips in nature and things like that. We've got to be able to pivot as homeschoolers, right? We've got to be able to adjust at a moment. And that's the privilege we have. Other schools, this is their printed curriculum and they're going to stick to it for state standards no matter what. We are able to respect the curriculum and respect the standards and incorporate them and have an excellent education. But we're also able to take our temperature and adjust as needed. We're able to accommodate things that human beings go through, right? Human beings become tired or sick or thirsty or hungry or lonely, and we can accommodate those things and help to heal them in a homeschool environment. We don't have to just tell people stay in your seat or be quiet or wait till after class. We're able to nurture, we're able to understand, and we're able to extend grace to ourselves as well. When we're having a hard time, we're able to say, I'm having a hard time and adjust our homeschooling so that we have happy homeschooling, right? Happy homeschooling. Oh, how wonderful. Isn't that wonderful? So let's take our temperature right now. Let's just take your temperature. How you doing? It's not carved in stone. I know it's going to change later, right? But you can at least take it right now and have a little bit of knowledge of what you're feeling as you homeschool today. Yeah. Take your temperature. Just trust me on this one. You'll be glad you did. And take the temperature emotionally and socially and mentally and physical of your homeschoolers. And you sure will be on the path to being happy homeschoolers.